Hello and welcome to another series of Kontakt Script Programmer. Today we're looking at 4.1, the UI button, where we declare a UI button in variable name. We create a user interface button. That's what it does. We've actually used this before. I'm just flying through this because, again, I just want a resource material that you guys will be able to use. So button and its callback is triggered when releasing the mouse. There are a few different versions of this. So some UI commands will not necessarily actually release on mouse up. They'll actually have like a mouse down thing as well. So it is important to look at buttons that way. It's sort of a two-step process. Buttons can't be automated like switches can be. So we do actually have to push on the button to use it. So our patch is pretty simple. On initialization, we declare a UI button called free sync button. We set it to 1. We could do this in the one line, but we're doing it separately. We set the text of, in brackets, the free sync button and then sync. So we set it to so that it says sync. Otherwise, it will just say free sync button. Okay, it will automatically default to that. So then we make persistent the free sync button. We read the persistent variable. So this is if we change the patch, it will still be either up or down. If it's down, we set it to free. Otherwise, we set it to synced. And then we end the if statement and end on. Then this will not do anything unless we have the on UI control callback, which says whenever we touch the free sync button, if it's set to 0, we set the text to free sync button free, and otherwise we set the text to free sync button sync. And then we end if, end on. Pretty simple stuff. We will jump into logic and get this one going. Should be nice and quick, as long as my logic decides to open nice and quickly. So on initialization, we declare a UI button called free sync button. You can call these whatever you want, obviously, as we've seen in the past. However, as long as you're detailed, it should be good. So we're immediately setting it to up with 1, obviously down the other way, and we're setting that to sync, and we make persistent. We probably don't need to make this persistent, considering we're not really doing that much in terms of changing and opening scripts. However, it is something we should start with. The other thing we should probably do is send a message. Is really handy, because that way it just clears whatever has been set. So if we're sending messages later on, it's a good idea to start with message like this and just flush out all the gunk that gets in the way of good programming, which is past programming, which is a little unfortunate. Free sync button equals 0. We set the text to the free sync button as free, and it kind of makes a lot of sense if you just look at stepping through each of these. All we're doing is changing the text on a button here. We're not actually changing the sync or anything like that, as I have said before. However, just writing this stuff out lets you get a better idea of what kind of functionality you're looking for. The great thing about Kontakt Script is it's almost like functional code that you can read immediately, which is the idea behind most code. But syntactically, it's not the roughest language in the world. Free sync button, sync, and if, and on. Let's see if I type those right. Ned if. Close. Okay. Yep, so there we go. Once I've popped in that code, now when we push up, we get sync, and when we go down, we get free. So it's a pretty basic implementation for right now. Again, it's just changing text on a button. However, it is something you're going to have to do a fair bit. So as long as you remember that you have the point where you declare your UI, and then the point where you pull back on the UI and say, whenever I touch the FreeSync button, it has to do whatever we need to do. And we also want to set the text accordingly, because you're going to want on and off so that it's really, really clear for users from a UX perspective how different elements work together. So thanks for checking it out. I will see you in 4.2.